tap connection off that overhead. Get a picture of him. Yeah, show you that.
Will this pick it up?
Well, for this guy, maybe. See that?
Yeah, I got a glare on it.
You may have to go into a micro focus if that has the micro focus adjustment.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Won't focus on you?
probably would.
What you've probably got to do, Ed, when it's going to manual focus and override it, there should be a manual focus on there.
Was.
Let me get my camera out, take some pictures. Right this guy up. How you doing with those fall potential measurements for your low voltage work? Is it helping you?
We haven't really used it. I did once I think.
Replace a lot of fuses, a lot of renewable links?
We have, yeah, we have been replacing some.
Get another cup now. Huh? Oh yeah.
Can you collect like the one? Collect.
Come on here, come here. Fire off on there, come here, over.
Hey.
Yeah, smoke come out of it. I don't see anybody blowing that smoke out of there.
Wow. Is that your powerhouse?
Hey, Tom Donaldson.
Looks like it's burning coal.
Guys got black coming out of the chimney.
Ed's filming it. I know see that thing coming out of there yet.
Tom Donaldson. You got black coming out of the chimney.
Yeah, but it's not that much big. But I tell you what, if you're burning I'll just oil pile, I'll burn it, and then I'll go to the stickers and take it out. And I was surprised, you really didn't give me that much margin.
Hey, your camera had one of the couple.
Yeah, it's mine.
I gotta feel my finger. Cold weather.
My fingers are cold. Get on the busted ones. I seen one that was busted or something. Yeah, right up there.
An insulator.
Yeah. I think I told him about that. Gotta replace that, I guess. Right?
RP Folding Company. RP Folding. I heard of them. So this is where it all happens.
Oh, years ago. Yeah, right there, turn everything off. When I turn that on, the whole place sings, makes this noise.
Now what does this control here?
Everything down there in the turbine room.
In the turbine room, so, okay, this takes care of everything. All our switch gear out there.
Yeah.
Any special name for this substation out here?
Top of the hill, some shit.
Just the substation up on the hill?
Yeah, I guess.
No
Yeah.
problem.
Little house on the fridge.
There you go.
Little house on the
You'll
wheel.
take get one of these. Be a man.
It'll be like the Three Musketeers.
You like gloves on for? That's good. Hey, note the camera's on that red dot.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty neat, Joe.
Neat, ain't it?
So it's on right now.
Yeah.
Should have shaved.
It's a little
We were
warmer,
taking pictures.
warmer in here, ain't it?
Got them heaters.
I know you're staying there.
That's where they send bad boys.
You only have to tell him. You don't even have to tell him that. Yeah, you know that. That's one thing. That's one thing he knows. He don't know much, but he knows me and you know more than him.
Fire off on here. Come in, over.
Who?
Whenever you're in the substations where there's oil-filled transformers, it always pays to take a few minutes and do a gauge check. The one gauge that isn't worth a damn is this guy right here. There's too much reliance placed on this gauge. That gauge is no more sophisticated than the float in your toilet tank. It's the same basic mechanism. When they set the transformer up, they normally bend the linkage. But this oil has to expand and contract. You also take samples out over the years.
Yeah.
I can take you to hundreds of transformers that are actually low, but this gauge will kind of still say it's in the good range.
You were saying something about that in the transformer down there before.
Yeah, did I find low oil on one?
I really couldn't
I
find
might
it.
not have, but what I normally do, I don't regard the gauge for anything except tell me that there's some oil in there. Whether it's the right level, who knows. Best way to check them, if you touch the tank about here, that's where your hot oil's coming up through the winding and going out into the manifold. If you touch the top of the tank, feel about how warm it should be, and touch a couple of the tubes on the corners, if you're getting low oil, one of those tubes will be ice cold. They call that the four-corner test. Normally you'll touch a tank and then touch a couple of these guys. That's probably the most successful test you guys could do in terms of gauging the oil. To really gauge the proper level of oil, you have to know the exact oil temperature and what's called the coefficient. That's all written down right here. Now right here, this transformer at 25 degrees C, which is the international standard for oil temperatures, is 9 inches below the underside of the cover. So it'll be a little plug or pressure relief where you actually take a wooden dowel rod and stick it. But then you have to know that for every 10 degrees centigrade of change, the level's going to go up or down by ½ an inch. So if this oil is 55 degrees on the day you stick it, then you're going to be 1.5 inches higher than your normal level. If you don't do it all the time, it's a little confusing. That's why we tell you, just do the four-corner test. If you feel some ice cold tubes, you got trouble. Not trouble, but it's time to be topped off. The majority of instances where the oil is found low, it's not the result of a leak. Everybody thinks that you take a quart of year out for a sample and they forget the cumulative effect. So now you get 15 years down the road, she's missing a couple gallons. And you only have to be down a little bit. You still have your insulating oil because she'll be up over the winding, but if it's not up into that manifold, she won't flow. Yeah, the other standard to remember anywhere in the world, when the oil's 25 degrees C, the oil always splits this manifold at 25 C. That's a standard that's been established internationally.
But don't flow through there, don't get extra hot. You know, they put temperature gauge in there.
We'll go over the gauges next. Yeah, one saving grace, because transformer insulating oil expands. If you start to get low and your winding heats up, it causes your oil to expand a bit. Now that'll buy you a lot of time. You'll run slightly overheated, but you will have flow. Till such a time when even when she's overheated, you can't reach the point of flow, convection oil flow. Then normally it'll form sludge or it'll fail. She'll overheat and fail somewhere. The other rule of thumb when you're looking at temperature gauges, these units are rated 55 or 65C. 55C rise. That means rise over ambient. Ambient's generally considered to be about 25 to 30 degrees centigrade. That's like 75 degrees Fahrenheit. In general, if you keep this oil at 60C, it's almost impossible to screw it up. Even if you get an air leak in there, you get some moisture, you won't form sludge at 60C. It takes years and years. Above 60C, yeah, you can have trouble. So even though this calls for a 55C rise, which means it can go as high as 75, maybe 80 degrees C, a rule of thumb is keep it at 60. Now how do you know, unless you stand here 24 hours a day, what the temperature is when you're not here? You got your red line that comes up. Usually have a white or a yellow needle. That's your constant temperature. Right now it's saying that this is 10 degrees centigrade. That means she's going to be down a little bit. 10 degrees centigrade, I think, is 50 degrees Fahrenheit. It's 18 degrees plus 32. That's about 50, I think. This guy here is a one-way. He gets pushed up by the indicator, but he cannot go back. So periodically, it pays you to go in, look at your substation, see what your temperatures have been, and reset them. How do you reset it? Mr. Mag. It takes you back down. If you have somebody doing periodic transformer checks, and you want to see if they're awake when they do it, and leave it there. If the guy calls the boss right away. If he ain't, he's not doing you any good as far as checking temperature. This right here, the guy should be screaming for help. But normally you just check it as long as she's good. Just leave it back somewhere down near your indicator and drive on. If you want to get a little bit more sophisticated, some guys will take some chalk. They'll write the date. Like today's the 24th. They'd write 3:24, 8 a.m., HT for high temperature, 62 degrees C. That chalk will last for a couple months. At least always you got something to go back to a month or two later. Capture that, Mr. Edwin?
Yeah.
The next gauge you want to be concerned with, again, this guy here, we have had clients get so pissed off when they found out how much reliance they were placing on gauges that were no good that they went and they got painted the gauge. Said to the guys, you will never look at the gauge again. You'll always do the tank test. Touch the tank, touch the tube. This gauge right here is called a compound pressure gauge. It reads pressure or vacuum, or positive and negative pressure. These tanks can swing either way depending on what time of the year they were filled. Maybe they get filled in the winter, the summer it'll be a little higher. If they get filled in the summer, in the winter the oil will contract and create a bit of a vacuum. Most of these are braced for vacuum and pressure. 8 psi positive and 6.5 pounds negative. That's what the tank is designed for. Naturally, there's working limits. She'll probably go a lot higher in pressure or vacuum, but pretty much if that's what they're set for, you want to kind of hang there. Especially on the positive side. Get too high, there's a little pressure relief up there. A little damper will go pop, pop, and she'll relieve some pressure. So as long as you're not above 8 or below 6.5, tank's running good. But there is one alarm reading you should know about, and that alarm reading is 0. That should set off an alarm in your head. If you ever find it at 0,
There's no pressure, no vacuum.
she might be breathing. Or you've hit that point of the day when she's crossing through 0. In which case, most guys will come out here, mark that with a grease pencil or a piece of tape, make sure they come back a couple hours later, see if that needle has moved.